Welcome, guys, to Attribution. I remain your favorite host, Chukwuedo. And if this is your first time finding my channel, watching my content, thank you so much for stopping by. And if you are a returning subscriber, you already know, say, now you be MVP. Take it there. Okay, guys, so very quickly, as you know, Attribution, we talk about different topics for the common good of Africans and, anywhere they are, whether in the motherland or in the diaspora. So today's episode, very quickly, is going to be about the two practical ways that low income earners, I'm going to put that, low income earners can actually start, investing. First things first, again, just a disclaimer, I am not a licensed, what do you call it? How do you call that? I'm not a licensed, investor. I'm going to put that. Or I'm not a licensed person to give investment advice. I'm just telling you based on, you know, conversations with industry people back home in Nigeria. That's where I'm from anyway. And of course, some little personal experiences of things that I've tried. So, as I mentioned, today I want to give like practical steps because I realized that the last couple of videos that I've put out on investing back home in Africa were more, general in their nature. So now I just want to give like a very, very practical steps because most times I hear a lot of people say, "Oh, I don't have like that very, very huge chunk of money to actually start this investment back home. I have only 2,000 euros now. Waiting 2,000 euros fit do. I have 1,000 euros. Waiting 1,000 euros fit do. I have just 3K now. I'm hoping maybe when I get 10,000 or 15,000, then I can start investing." So I'm going to give you two practical ways that you can start leveraging on that 1,000 or 2,000 that you have. So, first scenario, and I'm going to use Nigeria as a case study, please. Pardon me if you're watching from, if you're Ghanaian, if you're South African, but I'm sure you can, replicate the same strategy. So, the thing is, it's not very easy when you are a quote unquote low income earner. I'm talking about, you know that you're not in the category of, the high earners. And most times you might feel left out, believing that, hey, you cannot start an investment with your little money that you actually have in the bank. So I'm here to tell you that you actually can. And please note, I'm not talking about investments in Europe or in America, just in case you're, you earn in US dollars. And of course, even if you're earning in US dollars, you can tell if you're a low income earner. Everybody has an idea, especially considering what's the difference between your salary and the minimum wage. So you can actually tell. So I live in Lisbon, Portugal. I've been here for like 6 years. And so this investment advice, largely is going to apply to Nigerians. So first scenario, I'm earning 1,000 euros monthly. My what do you call my expenses are like between 450 to 500, conservatively. So I'm left with like 500 savings on a monthly basis. Okay, right now I have 1,500 euros. What can I do with it? I'm going to tell you, especially as Nigerians, this is the absolute best time to actually invest back home in Africa. This is the absolute best time. And I'm not even kidding, read my lips. This is the absolute best time to invest in Africa, in Nigeria particularly. Why? This is sad because of course there is inflation in Nigeria, so our currency has actually plummeted compared to dollar, compared to euro, compared to the British pounds. So this is the absolute best time because most other things actually doubled or tripled in price, like the price of consumables like food, rice is like I still bought rice like I don't know maybe sometime last week, 96 to almost 100,000 naira. Eggs quite expensive, milk, tomatoes and stuff like that. But one thing I noticed from my last visit to Nigeria is that land did not really double or triple in price like that, frankly speaking. As a matter of fact, you have more people who are stranded who want to sell their land. So that thing they call distress sale. So you have more people who are actually stranded who want to sell their land at the moment in Nigeria. So this is you in Europe, anywhere in Europe, earning in euros, you have 1,500. As at the last time I checked, it was about 1,800 naira to 1 euro. So I'm just going to do the calculation like right here now. Just give me a second. Yes, so let's say you have 1,500 that you want to invest times 1,800. This gives you 2.7 million. I don't know if you can see, but it gives you about 2.7 million naira. So first things first, this is the first way you can go. You can either do land banking, which is a long practice that a lot of these guys who are the big names in the real estate, industry are actually doing. But these are not secrets that they actually share. Sometimes you need to learn from your own experience. You need to make some mistakes. So you can either start with land banking. But in doing land banking, I always advise, don't go for lands that are too cheap. I'll tell you the reason. The lands that are too cheap, most times the maturity period can take a way longer time. So let's say there is a land for sale in a fairly underdeveloped area. What I mean by that is you don't have houses around, it's still like bushes and stuff like that, and you're a low income earner, which means that typically you would want something that's going to give you returns maybe within the next 1, 2, or 3 years. I would not say you should take your 2.7 million naira and then buy 3 plots of land at, let's say, 800,000, because we have this kind of lands available. But the problem most times is that the maturity period might take 5 years. It might even take a little bit more. So the first strategy is take your money, study the area, get to know what developments are going on in the area, and then get to know what are the plans from the government for that area, like for that zone, and then based on that, see what area is already developing. What I mean by that is where you already have like houses, a little bit of houses here and there where people are living if possible. So rather than buy 3 plots of land for 800,000 each, which will give you like 2.4 million, 8 times 3, that's 24, 2.4 million. Go around that vicinity to a place that is a little bit more developed. People are living, you have like a little community there, but of course not full-blown developed. The road might still be muddy and stuff like that. But if the land there is going for about 2.3 million or 2.2 million, that is a better investment. That is a better investment. So that's your first strategy. Ask questions. Get to know what documents the land has. Of course, very unlikely you're going to see a 2.4 million land for a plot with a C of O. It's most likely going to have maybe deed of assignment and registered survey, which is okay, frankly speaking, provided you do your search at the, what do you call it, at lands, how do you call it? I think it's the Ministry of Lands or something like that in Lagos State. It's in Alausa anyway. Those who are familiar with Lagos, they know what I'm talking about. So you do your research and you get to know that it's free from any kind of encumbrance. It's not committed. There are no issues on the land, basically. Once you know that, okay, with this information that I have, the land is clear, you can buy it. Put your money there, 2.3 million, 2.4 million, 2.5 million. That seems like a better investment than putting your money in a place where, yeah, it's cheap, but remember, even if you buy cheap land, like you buy 3 plots with your 2.4 million naira, remember you have 2.7 million naira to invest. So I'm just saying, okay, they give you 3 plots for 2.4 million at 800,000 each, and then you buy the 3 plots. Remember, you are going to do documentation, which means you have to do your C of O. And C of O in Lagos, frankly speaking, you can ask anybody who has actually been through that road. It's very, very expensive and it takes a long time. So imagine you buying 3 plots. Now imagine how much you have to spend on the 3 plots, which for me is not a smart idea. Because one, you're not a high income earner, so you don't really have that waiting time, of 5, 6, 7, 8 years in order for you to recoup your money. So you're better off putting your money in a place that is fairly developed, a little bit more expensive, but you know that the maturity time is going to be way, way less, which means you can get your money with maybe 2x or 3x based on the value of the land. So imagine if you buy in the place where you already have houses springing up here and there, maybe perhaps you have a school somewhere, you have a market, stuffs like that. You have some bars around, and they're giving you that land for 2.5 million with deed of assignment, and then of course registered survey. That's a better investment to actually do, and you have that power of the exchange rate at the moment. I don't know how long this is going to last, but take it from me, as I told you, you are better off doing that investment as opposed to keeping that money in your bank account in euros, believing that you don't have enough to actually start investing. So this is the first thing I'm going to do. If you can do that 2, 3, 4 times, you will be able to at least triple, because I'm very sure you'll be able to triple. If you buy for 2 million, for example, you're sure that within 2 years, with the development in that place, you should be getting at least 6 million. It's not guaranteed, but plus or minus. If you are lucky, the government, implement some of the infrastructure or the development around that area, we could be talking like 4x or 5x within 2 years. So my point is that don't think that your 1,000 euros, your 1,500 euros is not enough to actually do anything, because this is not smart. And those who are doing it and making the money, they are always going to tell you that, hey, you need 10,000 euros to actually start investing. I am telling you this. You can reach out to me. Again, I don't sell lands. I'm not an agent whatsoever. But of course, I have some information that I've used to my own benefits. So that's the first thing. So if you do the land flipping, I think that's something that could potentially help you double or triple or even quadruple your investment within the shortest period of time. So first thing is land banking. Now, the second thing you can do as a low-income earner in Europe is, let's imagine you have 1,500 euros. That is 2.7 million. And you are like, okay, I don't want to do land banking. I don't have 2 years to wait or 3 years to wait before I get this money back. Fair enough. What you can do is look for your friends around who are perhaps low-income earners as well, and then pool funds together. If 5 people can pull 1,500 euros each, which is 2.7 million, or better still, let's say 10 people. Let's say 10 people can pull 1,500 euros each. That's going to be 15,000. Okay, so 1,500 euros times 10, that's 15,000. So 15,000 times 1,800, which is the current exchange rate, is going to give you 27 million. So 15,000 euros, you have 9 other friends. You guys pull 1,500 euros each. It's going to give you 15K, which is like 27 million at the moment, at 1,800. Now, what can you do? You go to a place that is developed, like Surulere, or the environs around Surulere, somewhere in the mainland. It could be Ijesha, it could be Lawansi, because I check from time to time, and there are properties, distressed properties, that are dilapidated most of the times. 20 million, 25 million, 30 million. Around this range, you can actually find. If you check, you would find. It might take a little bit of time, but if you check, you'll find. Most of the times, there would be properties that are the typical face me, I face you, face me, I slap you, that are actually dilapidated or heading towards dilapidation. So the idea is not to, you're not going to find a property that is going to, be like, a habitable property 100% at that price. But the idea is this. What appreciates is the land. It's not necessarily the structure on it. So if you spend 100 million, what people pay is the average value of land around that vicinity or around that area. So get 9 of your friends who are low income earners as well, pull 1,500 each. It gives you 27 million naira. You can find a property for 25 million, of course, in a developed place on the mainland, in Lagos, for example. We're talking about maybe Ejigbo, we're talking about maybe Agor, we're talking about maybe Okota, Egbeda. You can find somewhere around Ijesha. I'm quite sure Ijesha is very, very, you can say like it's Surulere practically. Those old houses in the streets, you can find it. Remember, these are fully developed places. They have easy access to places like, Adeniro Gusonya. You can connect even to the island, CMS, Marina, and those places. So the idea here is this. You buy that property with your friends. Of course, you're going to have a lawyer draw up some kind of agreement between you guys to say, okay, we are buying this property together and we wish to hold it for, let's say 3-4 years. And let's say when we want to sell, seven, at least 7 out of the 10 must agree, and then of course we are going to decide if we, basically you put in these conditions. There are lawyers who actually do these things, so it's a consensus of people. If somebody wants to pull out, then of course you guys can either say, okay, are we considering to sell, and you put it on a vote, or you can say, okay, based on the value of the land today, we can join funds and then give our friend, and then basically he's going to buy himself out of the deal. So the idea here is this: properties in that vicinity, in 3 months, in 6 months, in 8 months, in 1 year, we're talking maybe 2x or 3x, as a matter of fact. Now the idea here is this: instead of buying that property and say, oh, we want to break it down and rebuild, remember, you guys are low income earners, you don't have that much money. What you should be doing is to look for a way that you can partner with developers who actually have the funds. So the idea here is this: you acquire the land, you pull your funds together, and then you begin to look for developers who can build structures on it. Let's say block of flats. This is like the in thing in Lagos right now. People build block of flats. It could be 10 block of flats, it could be 15 block of flats. It depends on it depends on how buoyant, and of course the permits that they have from the Lagos State, whatever they call it, the building and something like that control. So if they're able to do these story buildings, 3-story buildings, 4-story buildings, and then they can do block of flats there. So what happens? Everybody has a deal. You can either say, hey, you guys are going to use this for 10 years, 15 years, recoup your money, and then it's going to become ours. Or, as they do it in many other countries, Bangladesh included, based on the conversation I had with my friend, you build a block of flats, and of course, we have a deal. Hey, out of the 15 block of flats, the developers are going to take, let's say, I don't know, maybe 10, and then we are going to keep 5. So whatever proceeds that comes from the 5, we are going to be sharing this. Now remember, the idea here is this: that the land is for you guys. The developers are only coming to build on it because, remember, according to the Land Use Act and I think the other related laws, the person who owns the land owns everything on it. So the idea here is not to sell the land to developers, no, but it's to have a partnership with the developers. So here you can say, hey, we are going to divide this 60-40 or 50-50 so that you guys can recoup your money, and then we can also recoup ours. Remember, this is continuous income. And remember, because you bought in a place like Surulere, highly developed, you know that the value of that land every year is going to go up, 2x, 3x, 4x, while you guys are living your life. Remember, you are able to do this as a low income earner. So these are the 2 ways that you can actually do this. It doesn't have to be in Surulere. It can be in any of the areas, whether it's in Abuja, whether it's in Port Harcourt. But the idea here is to pool funds together in order for you to be able to buy that property that you know that within 1 year it's already appreciated and it's in a high demand area. So these are the 2 ways that you can do, and these things are practical. You can ask any industry expert who is into real estate in Nigeria. You can either do land banking. Don't go for the bushes that take 5-10 years to actually give you your ROI and then some profits. You can go for a developing place that has few houses here and there, and that the maturity time is going to be way less. 2 years, 3 years, you get 2x, 3x sometimes, if you're lucky, and then you can repeat the process. Or pool funds with your guys, buy a dilapidated property in a highly developed place, 25 million, 30 million you can find, and then partner with developers for them to build the structure, and you can share the block of flats, get the proceeds that come from it. And when the investors have recouped their investment totally, I don't know, maybe after 10, 15 years thereabout, you can decide to sell the land. And then everybody split their money. By that time, who knows, you're getting maybe 10x, 15x or thereabout. So I just wanted to drop this one very quickly. Please don't forget to like and subscribe if you like what we are about. If you don't like, it's okay, you can just watch, and I'm hoping that God will touch your mind, to eventually subscribe to our channel. Hey guys, thank you so much. That's me done. I'll catch you on the very next one. Cheers.